guys to raise your hand and tell me the first person that comes to mind when I say these words. Okay? I'm going to give you the word strength. Raise your hand if you want to say the first person that comes to your mind.
Your dad.
Oh, your dad, okay. I'm going to throw out the word power. Who's the first person that comes to mind?
Obama.
Okay. I'm going to throw out the word success.
Oprah.
Good one. Okay, so when I Googled this, these are the images that came up, right? Now tell me something they all have in common with the things that were said, except for
They're all guys.
they're all men. Why is that? Why didn't we think of these women when I threw out the word success, power, strength? Why is it that we think of automatically the most common law as a man? I'm going to tell you why. Because in today's culture, it is often seen that women are inferior. But today, we are here to tell you that women are not inferior.
Who?
Our main points today are going to be double standards that are holding women back, the perception of women being weak, unequal pay, and how women being seen as equals helps men. And I'm going to pass it off to Awabi to start with the double standards.
So today I'm going to talk about the double standards and how women are viewed, and also how women are viewed as sex symbols and how they're viewed in the athletic world. So a double standard is how you view one person, and for the next thing you view somebody else completely different. And a lot of people view women as being weak because they're not physically strong enough as men are. So back then it was really easy to connect athleticism and with strength and stuff like that to men, and nowadays women are getting more involved in sports, and people don't like that because it's not feminine, and that's what they think, that women should be very feminine, and they only view women as sex objects. So men are getting challenged by the idea that women could be as tough as them or as strong as them, and they really don't like that. So they just try and still consider women as the weaker gender. So they keep trying to push women down any way that they can. So women don't really get a lot of coverage in sports nowadays because they're not viewed as important in sports, and that's bad because women are very important, and there was like a law or something like that passed that women should have the same coverage time as men, but nobody really respects that just because they are women. And off the court, women are viewed as very feminine. A lot of people don't think that it's appropriate to view a woman as actually doing sports or being masculine. So a lot of times in magazines, they put women like having kids or being in a heterosexual relationship, because being in a homosexual relationship is very masculine, and they don't think that's natural. Just like in this sports magazine right here, they don't ever show women actually playing sports. They just show them in girly stuff or having kids. Like, who actually plays tennis in heels? Like, in a contrast. So yeah, they barely show women like very natural. And the decisions in sports are based on what men want to do. They're the ones that are higher up in corporate and whatnot, and they choose like whatever pictures they want because that's what makes them feel comfortable, to see a woman in a dress or see a woman half naked on a surfboard and saying that she is an athlete. And they only do these like half naked pictures because one, they view women as sex symbols and sex sells, so that's how they sell their magazines. But if it's a guy, they actually show them playing their sports, and it's just a lot of double standards in today's generation. So on to Sarah.
Women are strong. Yes, we can open our own ketchup bottles nowadays, guys. Y'all don't have to put our pickle bottles or ketchup bottles or anything like that. Women are just as strong to do that. So according to Fox News, there's a group called the Democratic Republic of the Congo who have the privilege to meet other women in groups, from women who, and get to speak about women who have been through so much pain and so much terrible things, rape, anything like that that women have gone through. Women are strong, and they want to help other women who have gone through all these things to make sure they're not emotionally displaced just because of this. Everyone views women as physically strong, emotionally strong, but what's the difference between us and a man? just as Alani said, we are seen as different, which is funny because we can play basketball, we can play volleyball. Guys even started playing volleyball, even though that's a girl's sport, started playing at the beach. So why is there this huge like controversy? I can say that word? Okay. Yeah. The only difference is women have capabilities that men can. Just because it's not as high as them, we still have the same capabilities. We can run as fast as them, but we just have to push ourselves, which women do. We've been fighting for this every single day of our lives, ever since we got same rights as men. We have been pushing and fighting. Women have came up and are head of CEOs. We have moved to politics, which Hillary Clinton ran for president. Like we want to get higher and higher up there. So why is everyone still seeing us as weak? We could do the same exact thing as men can do. And men keep fighting back as if like, oh no, women are supposed to stay in the kitchen, women are supposed to go do this, women are supposed to stay home. That's not something that women want to do. We should be able to have the option to stay at home or work. A lot of women love to work. Professor William loves to work. She loves making that money. Just like men, like there's so many different things that people don't see like that. They see it as women are just supposed to be these delicate, small women who are just be vacuuming in dresses, just like back in the days when they had the pearl earrings in. Like that times have changed. Like women are ready to go up and become powerful and be seen as powerful. And now I'm going to pass it on to Ashley. Or, sorry, Alex, sorry.
Equal pay. Have any of you heard of unequal pay for women, glass ceiling, like that picture? Mary McCarthy of the Dayton Daily News has. She says exactly 1 year after college, women make 82 cents when one man makes $1. She says it's because of wage inequality, which is when women get paid less for the same job that a man does. I'm here to tell you that's not true. Women do get paid the exact same. It's the jobs they take and the jobs they go to college for. According to IPWR.org, women make up about half the workforce, so they should make about as much money as men do, total. And that's actually not true. Women don't make as much money. Here's why. They tend to go to jobs that are for teaching, childcare, nursing, as on the screen. While men, they go to jobs like engineering, construction work, oil drilling, all very masculine and hard labor jobs. Women can go to college for these jobs, but it's harder for them because it's preconceived in our culture that men should have those jobs. I mean, how many women engineers or oil drillers do you know? Not many, if any. It's just a fact. There are not very many of them. And these jobs, they're there. They are. It's just women tend to gravitate towards more nurturing jobs like childcare and teaching. They do. Because of what our culture thinks. Women should go to those jobs. So it's not a wage inequality. It's discrimination of jobs. Women aren't supposed to be engineers because that's what our culture sees. That's a problem. Ashley?
I'm going to point why women's rights help men. I'm going to tell you why. If women were had more superior, it would benefit men. First, in divorce. If you're a male and you want a divorce and you're fighting for divorce, well, if your wife is making more money than you, then she has to pay for it, and she wouldn't have to rely on you for financial stability. Second, relief and pressure from the man's role. Well, the man's supposed to work the job, the wife's supposed to sit at home and deal with the kids. Well, ever since who knows when, that's how everything's always going to be. Well, what if you're a guy and you want to stay at home and you want to be the dad at the house and you want to be an artist or do something from home, and your wife wants to be a lawyer or a doctor, or she wants to do anything like that where she can't be at home 24/7, she has to constantly be gone working. Well, wouldn't it just make more sense to pay women the same salary if they were working the same job as their husband would be? And the financial burden would be off of the men, the father of the home. And you would be at ease from like the financial burden, and you wouldn't have to worry about it anymore. All we need to do is just accept the fact that women are inferior. I'm going to pass it on to Timothy for the conclusion. Or are inferior, or not inferior, but not inferior about that.
Okay, so in our conclusion, we talked about how we need to get rid of the double standards that are placed on women because they're holding us back and creating a perception that will not allow us to take certain roles. Women are not physically or emotionally weak. They're strong and they're able to do the same things as a man. There needs to be equal pay, equality in pay, and gender equality also benefits men. And then I'm going to show you a quick video.
For example, I think
there are a lot of things I can't do, like I can't go out and act like authority. I can't like speak out in class. I can't really stand up for myself because a lot of people see that as a girl being disrespectful or just a wild, crazy child.
I think that being a girl can stop me from doing some things. For example, when you think about a plane, you think about a guy as the pilot and a girl as the one who is catering the food and stuff like that. And I think about when I become older, I want to do like whatever I want to do. And it doesn't contain whether I'm a girl or a boy.
When any girl do a mistake, they always blame her because of her reputation. Not like a boy. There are a lot of things that women can't do, and maybe some women would love to do that.
I'd like to be treated the same as boys. I'd like to wear what I want to without anything being expected of me. And I'd like to go where I want, do what I want, wear what I want as well, without anyone saying, no, you can't do that, you're a girl.
It's Bradford.
That's our presentation.
Questions, please. Questions. Jonathan?
Do you believe that I totally agree with you that there should be balance, double standards should be gotten rid of, but do you believe there's, like in the military where women are allowed to serve in the combat zone, I could agree with them, they should. Do you believe there's some things physically a man can do that a woman can't? Because we're both different, designed differently.
Well, if they can push themselves and actually do it, then why not? If they can physically do it, just because if you think a man can do it better, like, what's the difference?
I think natural born, men are born with a woman. So if a woman pushes herself to be able to attain that power and strength, I don't think there's a lot of that.
Any other questions?
Sure, absolutely. That's why you're here. Ask questions.
So do you think that some of our cultural things like politeness, like a man holding a door open for a woman, or a man opening the door when he a car door for a woman, do you think those should go away also? Or
I don't think those are double. I mean, I think we're all raised to be like respectful to a certain extent. I don't think we should necessarily place those maybe they shouldn't be expectations, but they should be something that as humans we should just naturally do to cater. I don't think they should be necessarily expectations because you're a man, you should overthrow them.
I think they should stay the way they are because it's just a nice gesture. That's all it is, a nice gesture towards a woman.
I open doors for guys sometimes.
Yeah,
Just
me
being
too.
nice.
I'm gonna open my door for them, I don't mind.
No, but I mean like on a date or something, like, I don't know.
Sure, on a date.
It depends on the guy,
Yeah.
it depends on the girl, I don't know, like I said, I don't know if it should be an expectation, but I think if you're raised that way, you should be that way.
Definitely all depends on how you're raised.
Yeah.
So ladies, let me piggyback on that particular question. So do you mind if you go out on a date and a guy does not pay? And then I would like to ask Alex that differently. Would you feel comfortable if you went out on a date and a woman said, I want to pay? So let me start with Ashley first. The first question is, if you are out on a date and a guy does not pay for dinner, would you have a problem with that?
I don't have like a problem with it, but I feel like if they ask me on a date, I would expect them to pay for it, but I'm not like disappointed if they don't. Like if we're like just friends going to lunch or something, and I pick up my own bill, that's fine. But if he's like, oh, hey, can you pay for this one? I'll be like, you asked me out. Like, split, but we're not gonna.
So Alex, for a woman, if you go out on a date and she insists on paying, would you feel comfortable with that? Or what is your,
I would still pay it.
you'd still pay?
Because you're a nice
That's what I'm
guy.
talking
Yeah,
about.
that's-
I can't.
Yeah, but
I can't do
personally,
that.
like,
If
okay.
I'm the one who asks her out, I'm supposed to pay
Yes.
it.
I can't see somebody else paying. I can't see that.
You don't feel, so let me go to Alani first and then let me go to Sarah and then you, Deanna.
What's the question?
If you went out on a date, would you expect for the guy to pay your bill?
It depends if he asks me out or not, but if it's like a mutual understanding, we're both going out, I don't mind like picking up the tab. Because it's just polite to do, like, don't always let the guys pick up the tab.
Don't always let that. Sarah, what about you?
It honestly depends if the guy asks me. It depends where our relationship is too. If it's just a friend, I don't mind paying for my friend, and at the same time, I wouldn't mind paying for my boyfriend either, depending on like how the situation is, who the person is, and how it was asked. Because I like paying for my tab all the time. I'm very independent. Same with that car opening door. I usually open my own door, and the guys are always like, I was supposed to get that for you. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm just used to doing it myself. There's just so many situations, it just depends.
It just depends. What about you, Deanna?
I personally, I feel uncomfortable sometimes when they, like, okay, the last date I went on, I got to the movies first just to pay for mine. So I feel like if, sometimes in certain situations, if they pay for it, they might expect something in return, honestly. Like, that's just how the world works nowadays, but I feel more comfortable paying for mine. It just, I mean, then again, it just depends on where you are in dating.
It depends on where you are. Timothy has a comment.
I have a comment. I was like, why would, I guess it's true, but why would most guys expect something in return?
That's how guys are.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You know, that's how I know that generally that's how we think, but you know, all I really never think, you know, ask them to return, because I know that shows like a high level of disrespect. And I just asked you out on the first date too. I'm like, no.
Think about my other speech. Like,
Can you tell the audience about your other speech? Can you tell them what the title was?
oh, how to survive a terrible date.
You gotta look it up.
Yeah, look it up on YouTube.
It's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube. Lillian, you had a question?
I think that depends on both people. I've been going out with my boyfriend for 7 years, and still today he opens my door and he pays for absolutely everything. Because that's just how he is. I mean, there are times when we go out to dinner and I will be like, no, it's your birthday, I'm gonna pay. Or no, it's a special occasion, or I'm gonna pay. Or we'll figure it out and we'll split it. But usually all the time, because he was grown up with that, you know, gentleman thing.
And it goes back to how you're raised.
Yeah, you're gonna do this for the girl, and the girl should do this. We both have roles, so I think that as long as we're both fulfilling our roles and we're okay with doing so, then there shouldn't be so much.
As long as you guys are both okay with that.
Yeah.
Like the way I was raised, I think to be independent and not to have. I have a lot of friends who, I mean, that's their role in their relationship. But me personally, like I don't like that.
And there was a question. You had a question?
Never mind. I don't know how to word it.
Okay. All right.
If I may, with 2 comments, is that okay?
If they're
Very
short.
Very short.
Very short.
Very short. No, I'm not gonna.
Okay.
The first one, you mentioned that pretty much tantamount to prostitution if a guy.
What?
If a guy. if a guy pays for dinner, movie, whatever, he expects something.
I didn't say
What
all
do you-
that, I said sometimes I feel as though they might expect something, and I
Right.
don't wanna have to go in that uncomfortable situation.
So wouldn't that also be a double standard? So you're presenting how there should be no double standards, but you're presenting this as, well, if a girl pays for it, she's not expecting anything, but guys, obviously, if they pay for,
That
Pay
wasn't the
for it.
question of a girl pays for it, we were discussing. if
That
a
was for
guy pays
feelings.
for it.
right.
But I'm.
I was just asking a little clarification on that.
So did anybody want to answer that? He's asking, is there a double standard if you pay for Timothy's meal? Are you expecting something from Timothy?
Some girls might, I mean, that, I see what you're saying, that could be a double standard, but
Right.
that, I mean, some girls might, so if he doesn't feel comfortable with her paying.
No, hey, I am not.
Stand up for yourself,
Timothy. I'm so on the street or something. No.
And actually,
She's like, hey, I need something for you.
Katie,
The whole speech is like about women's rights and women's roles. I'm just a little confused about Alex's viewpoints because I feel like he, and maybe you can clarify me on this. I feel like you think that women should teach instead of being engineers. Like, what was your viewpoint on that? 'Cause I'm a little foggy. I'm not criticizing you. I'm just like confused.
So your question is,
Like, what's your viewpoint on what you had discussed? Like, do you think women should have their own rights, like equal as men? Or do you think that they should stay being paid less and working like the teaching jobs?
because we know your sister works concrete.
I believe women should follow their passion. Most women's passion are normally towards teaching and childcare. That's just normally what it goes to.
Do you think that's because of the age and era that it used to be and that the generations coming up, like our generation is going to change that? Or do you think I have the natural ability to want to teach kids? Because frankly, I kind of hate kids.
We hope not.
I think that's saying it's a majority view that there is a percentage of how same thing as men are grown up, are raised up in the house to be a gentleman. There's some women that are raised up to feel like they're just more nurtured towards kids.
Well,
Wait. So let Alex actually respond
All right.
to the statement about what he thinks before we go and open
This
it
is a
up.
little analogy. Where does the little kid run when he skins his knee? He doesn't run to his dad.
I always ran to my dad.
Exactly.
Come on in.
Well, do you find that, because in the 1950s, women were starting to get jobs, I'm not clear on the exact dates, but when they started getting jobs, they knew one thing, and that's how to be housekeepers and how to keep care of children and how to do stuff like that. So naturally, they would go towards teaching jobs. But now, like, as women are being more independent, do you think that that's going to change? Like, do you think that they're going to be like, I don't want to be a teacher, I want to be an engineer because I can do that, and this is 2015?
I think women will follow their passion more now than they did back in the 1950s.
Okay, Nicole, you wanted to make a statement?
No, my statement is, I'm a little bit older than you guys, and I think that women have been trying to exercise their independence since at least the 60s. So I think we've come a long way. I understood your view just a little bit more. I just understood it as most women just being feminine, and I'm not saying this to be derogatory, are just more naturally in those nurturing jobs. But we are, like she said, just spreading our wings a little bit and getting into the other jobs. But I don't think it's just recently. I think it has been here for 30, 40 years. And now the glass ceiling is just a little bit more broken to where we're able to expand it a little bit more. But I know several women engineers, so.
You would not have known any back in the 1950s.
50s, no, but
Exactly.
80s,
It's
90s,
changed.
yes.
Yep. So, Alex, can you tell us when Natasha is laying concrete or putting down wire?
And you're saying,
How do you feel about that? Do you think she should be out there doing those types of jobs with you and your brothers, or?
Let me put it this way. All right. She can do just about anything. I mean, she's an artist, and she is an artist. She oil paints. she can do the same job as Isaac and I can. She can do plumbing, she can do concrete work, she can do anything she wants. And if women are taught that way by their parents, they can do anything they want as well. They have the ability, it's just they have to tap into it. They have to find a way to do it.
I think he touched on it in his speech a little. He said that the whole nurturing thing was a little bit about perception. That's what's expected of you, so that of course you're going to tend. I think if we expected men to be a little bit more nurturing, they would. I don't know if it's a innate thing.
That's
but
great.
I think it's a little bit more of a expectation.
That's
than
great.
something.
That's a good point. Jonathan, did you have a statement that you had a
I
question?
think she just answered it right.
Did you just answer it? And yes.
Just as a last note, regarding sports and athletics and equality and inequality, we recently heard where a female became the first NFL referee. Although she was allowed into the exclusive men's circle, what did she have to do to stay there? Do you know? She had to wear her hair up, she had to cover up, and on the field from a distance, you know, she had to fit in. And so although she was allowed in, there's still a little, you need to look the part.
See, that ain't right.
But you know, I was watching some show, and I don't remember what show it was, but there was like it was a football team, and they let a girl in there, and they had gotten into like a scuffle or whatnot, and they had beat up the girl, and the football coach said, well, if you wanted to be out here, you have to put up with that, so that's I guess, that makes you think.
So we're inching our way to the equality.
Yeah.
We're
So we still have
play by the rules.
Lillian?
I have a question. Do you think that if women were to not be so nurturing, or to kind of like glide away from it a bit and do what they want to do, that men would automatically take that role? Like, let's say, you know, I have a family or whatever, and I were to kind of like try and be more independent. Do you think that the men will automatically like try and be more nurturing, or?
To fill in some of the holes again, like, I think so. I mean, but not that, I mean, I don't want to say that being nurturing and whatnot is not a good thing at all, but I think we should expect our men to be a little bit more nurturing and to play a bigger role in maybe child care and whatnot. So yeah, I think they should. I don't know.
So let me ask the young men in the room, starting from Isaac. Isaac, do you think men should take more of a nurturing role in terms of raising the family and in other things that they're doing? We know being a stay-at-home dad is now becoming more popular. It's not something that all men are going to do, but it is seen every now and again in families. So,
Well, how nurturing, like stay-at-home dad nurturing, or?
No, you put the barriers on how far you think it should go, or the boundaries, I should say.
Well, I think the male of the family should be a little more nurturing and not just work all the time. He should care for his kids, as any good parent should. But I don't think that means that he has to be nurturing in order for women to be seen as more equal or anything like that.
Okay.
So.
All right, Timothy, what about you?
I kind of agree, you know, if it can be equal in the house where both parents are nurturing towards their children and their family, and you know, it brings a lot of positive energy out of that, because you know, you don't have to have somebody at work all the time and someone at home all the time. It has to be an equal schedule between each two, where you know you can still raise up your family to be successful.
Okay. And Norris, what about you? What do you think?
I agree with him.
You agree with him?
Yeah.
Okay. Jonathan?
I agree. I mean, when my mom wanted to get her started on business, my dad had to step in because we're homeschooled, so we had to rely on our parents for education. So what happened, she ended up going on her career, and eventually we were relying on our dad a lot. So it was not a huge difference, although I don't think we received so much of the nurturing part. But I enjoyed it. My mom, she was happy. My dad encouraged her to go pursue her career. She liked it. And so, and she's still doing it now. I mean, we're older, so we're independent now.
Okay.
I support it. I mean, if I get married, I would support my wife. If she wants to work and she wants to make the money, I'm more than happy to stay at home, watch TV, and care for her.
I don't think it'll be a lot of watching TV, but Alex, and I'll go to Snow.
I do have to touch on the homeschooling aspect. Our dad, he works, and our mom has homeschooled us since we were in preschool, since the beginning. she's had the harder job her entire career. She's had the harder job of raising us. Raising kids is a lot harder than just going to work and doing a job, a specific job. Because there were 3 of us.
Wow.
At once.
Usually there's more than just 3.
Yeah.
I definitely think being a mother is the most difficult.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah, Snow, from your perspective?
From my perspective,
Dean?
I came from a very Hispanic family.
Can you please tell us what that means for those of us who
that's
are
like
not familiar?
Well, we were Hispanic, we were Catholic, so my father, he would go to work at like 7 in the morning, and when I was a kid, my mother would always take care of us, or my grandmother would always take care of us, and then my dad wouldn't get home until 5 o'clock, and then we would have dinner, and then that's it. So I spent a lot of time with my mother, I never saw my father, but when my parents got divorced, when I was like 6 or 7, that changed a whole lot. I saw my father become more like caring and more like involved with everything. So a guy can do it. He sure can. It just really depends on if that has to come into responsibility for him. If the wife wants to go into corporate or wants to do something, I'm sure he'll step up and be like, okay, well, you could do that, I'll do this, and then if something else happens, you stay home for a little bit, I'll go do this, and really it.
Ryan, what about you? How do you feel?
I feel like men and women are naturally socialized differently growing up. Culturally, we have different roles imposed on us, and we are more or less forced to grow into them. That's like how blue is considered a masculine color and pink isn't. How, dolls are considered women's toys, but, if you want to be a firefighter or a superhero or whatever, those are all considered male things. And I think we see that in our culture, and I think from that's why we see a lot of patriarchal systems that show up to help and have continued in basically oppressing women's rights to be anything other than nurturers, which is what's led to a majority of women being nurturers. That's what we're socialized to be. Well, not me, but
Right. So would you take a role in terms of nurturing?
Yeah, absolutely, because guys are nurtured on the other side of the spectrum. Guys are told, hold back your feelings and, be aloof. That's why when you see guys crying, it's almost like a stigma, and why, there are so many, I guess, there's a lot of emotional stuntiveness, I think, in the realm of men. And that's why when men get raped, you can't bring that up because it's considered unmasculine. So I think that men should unlearn a lot of the harmful masculinity that we're taught, and I think that we should all in all attempt to basically upend what is societally imposed cultural and gender roles.
Okay. And Lyle, what about you? What do you think? In terms, the question is, in terms of men taking on more of a nurturing role, do you think that should be a part of what we are reorganizing our families to be?
Is it okay if I don't answer that?
Sure. Okay. Sure.
I'm going to try to stay on the show.
Okay, all right. And Richard will give you the last say concisely.
Concise.
Yes, concisely.
Just from family experience, I've seen the impact of both sides of the spectrum. My grandfather on my father's side of the family was a nuclear engineer who was never home and very detached from my father. And so that's led my father to be very withdrawn, very passive aggressive in raising and dealing with just his business as usual. And so I can see the impact of the far left, where there is no nurturing figure from the father. But then also, my father, he was laid off for about 5 years. So he had to be at home, take care of the kids. At that time, I was early middle school going into high school. And so during that time, my mother was working, and my dad was the one who was taking care of us. So I've seen both sides of the spectrum, how they can impact. I believe men, any human being has the natural capability to nurture life. Be that a male or female, it doesn't matter. Our animal tendency is to take care of what we create, children, homes, all of that. And so I believe that yes, men have the capability to nurture. And again, with the gender roles we've talked about, it all begins as a child. As these points, you see little boys watching Power Rangers and
Power Rangers.
They were saying they like Power Rangers.
And that's a point where our society has changed with our generation, is that girls have watched more masculine shows growing up, but previously, these would be unheard of. You would have little girls, you were watching the princess shows, you were the princess, you were taught from a young age, you're the princess, find your prince, let him take care of you. Where the guys, even in our cartoons, our TV shows, it's ingrained into our mind that we're supposed to be the strong provider, the one who fights the dragon and saves the princess. It's these things that are ingrained into us. And at the point, like in the 70s, when, and I'm babbling, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But in the 70s, when the women's rights movement was first coming out with full force, they forced these girls into, you have to do sports, you have to fight the male control, these gender roles. And so there wasn't the choice aspect, which our generation has. Our generation is given, you can do sports, you can be a princess.
Great.
Whichever
Very
you want.
nice.
Thank you. Thank you, Rich. I appreciate that. Any other comments?
Well, if you think about it too, lately there's been an increase in men in the healthcare field, like with being nurses.
That's true.
And that's
That's
a
true.
really big thing. Like even on
Yes.
Meet the Fockers, they made like a big thing that the nurse card only comes in the girl form, but there's guys out there who do the same exact thing and they love it. They love nurturing other people and that's been increasing a lot.
And I'd like to say, like, even my dad always played, like, pretty much the traditional role of being the person who works in the family. But I think my dad is more, like, more emotionally nurturing than my mom.
Okay.
Just because, like, he's always like, oh, I want a hug, or how are your day going? My mom's just like,
Hey, this is on video. Any other comments? Any other comments from our guests? Okay.
Well, so good, guys.
Thank you so much.